Hello, friends. Welcome back to Transcendent Astrology and Tarot. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm an author, speaker, tarot reader, and astrologer, and welcome to the Gemini New Moon for June 6th of 2024. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. We have a beautiful new moon in Gemini that is happening on June 6th at 5:38 a.m. Pacific time. And I look at this new moon as a beautiful opportunity for new love, and it doesn't have to be an or, feminine power released. Now, this new love could be a fated new love, and we'll talk about why in just a minute. But let's first take a look at what's happening in Gemini at the time of this new moon. So as you see here, we have the sun, the moon, and Venus at 16 degrees Gemini. So we not only have the sun and the moon conjunct, which happens at a new moon, but we also have Venus conjunct the sun and the moon at 16 degrees of Gemini. In Gemini, we also have Jupiter and Mercury, and Uranus is not far behind in Taurus. And as you can see here, we have Mars that was conjunct Chiron exact about a week ago, week and some change. And we have the North Node in Aries, and we have Neptune and Saturn both in Pisces. The only planet that is retrograde at this time is Pluto. Now, it is quite impressive that we still have Jupiter conjunct another planet, which here it shows conjunct Mercury in Gemini. And I did an entire video on Jupiter's transit through the sign of Gemini, which you can check out here after this video. I really did a good breakdown. I broke it down into the 12 months of Jupiter's journey in Gemini, so please do check that out after this video. But let's focus in on this beautiful and auspicious new moon in Gemini as we look at the energies of Gemini and we look at the energies of Venus conjunct the sun and the moon in Gemini. So first and foremost, let's look at Gemini. Gemini is a mutable sign. It is ruled by Mercury. And we have our ruler, Mercury, right here at 6 degrees of Gemini, conjunct Jupiter. So it's magnifying Mercury's power, the power of communication, the power of bright ideas, intelligence, trying new things. Now, Gemini and Mercury both really equate to that energy of the third house, which is about short distance travel, communication, getting out there into the world, but your more immediate world, so your neighborhoods. It represents early education too, but it also does represent bright ideas and trying out new things, especially your new ideas. This is an exciting time to be in Gemini season where things move a little bit faster because Gemini is an air sign. And as we have all of these planets in Gemini with this energy, magnifying the energy of Gemini, bright ideas are coming left and right. We want to try so many things, have so many experiences and new ideas, fresh starts with the new moon. And it is really an exciting time for this beautiful new moon, especially with Venus being here. Now, Venus isn't too much a fan of Gemini. Venus doesn't really feel super comfortable in Gemini, but it is expanding this notion of trying beautiful new things. It could be a new dating situation. It could be trying out a brilliant idea for an entrepreneurship. You're starting a new business and you have these bright ideas to start. And so there really is a lot of stimulation, intellectual energy, as well as love energy. What I really want to talk about here is Venus conjunct the sun and the moon at 16 degrees Gemini. I'm going to read to you the Sabian symbol for 16 degrees Gemini. Now, Sabian symbols are a representation. They were like channeled messages about the evolution of the human experience through the zodiac. The zodiac has 360 degrees as it is a circle. And so each degree, according to this system of Sabian symbols, represents a motion, a momentum forward toward the next degree. So the Sabian symbol, and I got this from Dane Rudhyar's book, An Astrological Mandala, states, a woman activist gives an emotional speech dramatizing her cause. Now I'm going to say that again. A woman activist gives an emotional speech dramatizing her cause. And this is a passionate response. Listen again. A passionate response to a deeply felt new experience. A passionate response to a deeply felt new experience. We have Mercury and Jupiter conjunct in Gemini. Mercury is about communication. Jupiter expands that communication, expands that message. And in Gemini, it could be about communicating an idea to your community, to your neighborhood, to the school board. Okay, so are you following me here? And then we have Venus conjunct the moon first, right? Because the moon is right next to Venus. That is feminine energy. The moon is about our deeper emotions. So feminine energy connected to the moon, these deeper emotions, and the sun is shining brightly on this feminine energy connected to the moon with deeper emotions. So this Sabian symbol is actually perfect for this degree as we see it today. Of course, the Sabian symbol is there, right? It doesn't always mean that it's a new moon or that Venus is there. It's just there. But in this case, it fits rather perfectly. And what this reminded me of, now I'm going to give you an example because I had an epiphany when I read this Sabian symbol, because I really was diving deep into what this could mean about this feminine energy, a woman feeling emotionally moved and passionate about her cause and being able to talk about it to a community of people who are unaware of this cause. Like she's trying to convince them to follow her cause. And immediately I was drawn to the concept of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and who started it? Who started that? And so I looked it up. I'm aware of this organization. This organization was founded in 1980 by Candace Lightner. Now, she founded what is called MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. She founded it in 1980 after her daughter was killed by a drunk driver after a softball game. Her daughter was only 13 years old when she was killed by a drunk driver. She founded the nonprofit after the death of her daughter, and it was incorporated on September 5th of 1980. Now, this is why it's pertinent to Gemini. At first, because she was a resident of Northern California and she founded her organization in Sacramento, California, at first she was talking to her community. She was talking to her community about changing the laws in California regarding what people do, what the law does with drunk drivers who kill other people. And so that's a very Gemini thing, talking to your immediate community about change. The interesting thing is just a year later, it was in front of the president's desk to change the laws in all 50 states. So it had quite a deep impact. Now, I want to talk about the chart because I decided to look up the chart of the date of incorporation, which was September 5th of 1980. Now, that was really significant to her in particular because that was her daughter's birthday. Her daughter would have turned 14 years old on September 5th of 1980. And that's when she started with her mission statement with just a handful of mothers whose children had also been maimed or killed by drunk drivers. Let's look at that chart. The chart isn't exactly the way the chart is on this new moon in Gemini. And in fact, it's not about Gemini at all. But I found a couple of things that were really pertinent and super interesting to this concept of feminine energy. We're talking about the feminine energy being powerful and being able to move things through speech. This is exactly what happened when Candace Lightner incorporated Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. As you can see, on September 5th of 1980, we have the moon and Venus. There you go, another moon-Venus conjunction. The moon-Venus conjunction, which is in Cancer. Cancer is about mothering. It is the mother. It is the home. And here we have it emotionally magnified, the mother being emotionally driven to protect her children. Now, some people look at Cancer as being a softer sign, but Cancer can be the mother bear protecting her children. And so we have that moon and Venus conjunction in Cancer, just like we have our moon-Venus conjunction here on this new moon. But look at this, we have a sextile with the sun, Jupiter, Mercury, and there we go again with the Jupiter-Mercury conjunction, just like we have on June 6th, that Jupiter-Mercury conjunction. But here we have Saturn. Now we're going to talk about the aspects of June 6th of 2024 and where Saturn is, because this is really important too. Here we have a conjunction between the sun, Jupiter, Mercury, and Saturn, all in Virgo. Now, Virgo is about details, but it's also about being methodical and making sure something sticks. And Saturn is here to make sure that on September 5th of 1980, that this movement of mothers, Venus moon in Cancer, this movement of mothers stuck. The message, the communication of it, Virgo, stuck in an earth sign. I love this. I love this chart for the beginning of this organization. There is very similar energy in our chart for June 6th of 2024 with this new moon. Not the same signs, but very similar energy. So as we look back at our chart for the new moon in Gemini, which is happening on June 6th, we can see that Saturn in Pisces is square our new moon. Saturn in Pisces is square our new moon. And of course, Venus, right? Because Venus is conjunct. What is the interpretation of this for me? The interpretation of this with Saturn being in Pisces, Saturn is about slowing things down. It's about taking time, Saturn, father time. Pisces in a water sign, taking time to think about the global and bigger picture of spirituality and consciousness expansion. Now, Gemini is about the immediacy of ideas, the immediacy of the bright ideas, the immediacy with Venus there of finding a new love, finding a new passion, finding a new idea, finding some new money, finding a new job. It could be about generating all of these, the new ideas, the bright ideas. It could be about finding new loves, finding new sources of money. And here we have a square to Saturn in Pisces, which is saying, slow it down a bit. Just slow it down a bit. Look at the bigger picture, Pisces. Look at the grander scheme of things. Let's look at the bigger picture of consciousness. It's great to generate new ideas. It's great to generate your thoughts. It's great to try to find the love of your life or find a new money source. But Father Time, Father really, is sitting there in Pisces going, think things through. Don't just take the first job that's offered. Don't just take the first lover who's offered to you. I'd like you to think things through and look at the bigger picture here. And so that's finding the balance between the excitement of Gemini, generating all these new ideas and having all these new possibilities coming forward with the new moon, and keeping a measured response to that. Keeping a very measured response because you want to make sure it'll last. You want to make sure this will last. The new ideas will last. The next aspect I'd like to take a look at is we have a sextile between our new moon and the North Node in Aries. Sextiles are helping hands. Sextiles make things a little easier. Aries being a fire sign, the North Node meaning your future pull, your destiny, something that is fated. North Node is where your soul wants to go. And I like the fact that it's passionate and fiery. So this is a nice helping hand with the North Node. And that's why I said this could be a fated new love, something that is fated for you. Or if it's that feminine power, that feminine energy, that feminine drive with Venus there, it could be something that you are meant to do as a feminine energy, and it is fated. It's fate calling you, bringing you passion to do that. Just like Candace Lightner had the passion to start this organization. So that's why I said it's similar. The charts are different, but the same, if you will. There is that passion there with the North Node. There is the opportunity for growth with the North Node. It's like this harmonious opportunity for growth. And you just need to look toward that North Star, that North Node, and look at where the North Node is in your chart, in your birth chart. And that might be an indication, the house of where it's at. If it's in your 10th house of career, this new moon could be a new opportunity towards your career that's going to take you on your fated path. If it's in your 7th house of partnerships, it could be finding that new love that is fated towards your destiny. If it's in your 6th house of daily routines and health, it could be like finding either that 9-to-5 job that is fated for you, or it could be finding that new health routine that is going to get you in stellar health, North Node, for the rest of your life because it is fated. I love it. I love this aspect. I think the challenges that are presented with this new moon in Gemini are very minimal, if any. I find that Saturn is just going to slow down the energy just enough so that you can listen to your lucky stars and make the right choices, even though you may have a billion new ideas, brilliant ideas in Gemini. So let's take a look at what the tarot has to say about this new moon in Gemini. Dear angels and guides, can you please help us to understand the energy of this Gemini new moon happening on June 6th of 2024 at 5:38 a.m. Pacific time? We've got the winter solstice, finding the light within. Finding the light within, which is funny because we're coming upon the summer solstice. But I believe before the summer solstice, we really have to find the light within to then shine it outward, right? The moon is about introspection. The moon is about our inner feelings, our inner moods. And Venus is also very feminine energy. It's that softer energy. It's not so apparent all the time. And this is like, find those feelings, validate those feelings, find the light within and shine it outward. That's something that I wrote in my journal today. I wrote those exact words in my journal today. So for the new moon in Gemini, angels and guides, what needs to be put forth here? King of Cups, emotional mastery. There's the emotions again, guys. There are the emotions again. Think about the Sabian symbol, about the feminine energy emotionally portraying a message, passionately, with deep, deep emotion, conveying a message to the public that might not be aware of the problem. And this is emotionally balanced, emotional maturity. This is going to be required of you because Gemini is not so much about either emotions or emotional maturity. But Saturn is there in Pisces talking about emotional maturity because Pisces is a very evolved energy and it's a water sign. Water is about deeper emotions. And so it's evolved, it's highly evolved. The cup suit is about watery energy. So let's go ahead one more time for the new moon in Gemini. Two of Wands, charting a course. Charting a course. Opportunity, visualization, discovery, get ready, future planning, consider your options and making decisions. This is an Aries card, that North Node in Aries, charting a course for your future. Two of Wands. And there's that fire. There's that fire I talked about with the North Node in Aries. I believe this is all of the opportunities that you are presented with during this new moon in Gemini. And it could be just ideas that you're presented with. It could be actual opportunities, but it's likely that it's more communications that are coming your way, or communications you have with others, or brilliant new ideas, or that feminine power coming from within. It's about generating those ideas in Gemini. And the Two of Wands is saying, sure, generate those ideas, but then make the decision and move forward. Aries is about moving forward. Aries doesn't think things through a lot. It's about moving things forward. So let's go ahead again and qualify these with the winter solstice card, finding light within, for this Gemini new moon. Angels and guides, guide our viewers today. Seven of Swords, not what it seems. Wow, that is a heads up. That is just a heads up. Finding the light within to be able to shine your light to the outer world may not have anything to do with what you thought. The Seven of Swords can also indicate like people that don't have your highest and best interest at heart, but it could be about repeating patterns from your past as well. And so when you're thinking about the ideas of shining your light from within to the outer world, it could have something to do with a brand new idea. New moon, brand new idea. Not hashing out the past, repeating the past. It may not even be a past issue for you, but this is a new idea, a brand new idea that's going to set you forth on your path. What else for the King of Cups in this Gemini new moon? Nine of Swords, mental anguish. Okay, look, the King of Cups is saying you must balance your energies and be mature about it. What are you combating against? You're combating against mental anguish, anxiety. Now, let me say this, and it shows the Gemini sign, it shows Mars. Anxiety is a real thing for the Gemini sign. Why? Because it's air energy and because it's fast moving energy. And when you're dealing with your emotions, the changing emotions, because Gemini changes like the wind, it can be easy to get yourself out of balance. And with Venus and the moon being together, it can bring about a lot of emotional energy, especially like empathy, compassion, the bleeding heart. And you don't want that. You want to be concerned about a cause, about something, about people, but you don't want to have the bleeding heart so much that it causes you anguish. You want the emotional maturity about it, just like Candace Lightner did, the founder of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And I love that example. I'm so happy the angels sent me that example because it's perfect. She could have, honestly, she could have been like this, in her bed, crying and anxious, upset, instead of becoming the King of Cups, emotionally becoming a spokesperson, a spokeswoman, conveying her emotions. I'm going to show you a photo of her right now where she was holding up a photo of her daughter as she was giving a speech at the opening of her organization. She was being the King of Cups, not the Nine of Swords. She wasn't wallowing in her sorrow. She was standing up and using her emotions for the greater good. She was using her emotions to be mature and say, look, this happened to me, as tragic as it was. Nobody should ever lose a child to a drunk driver or anything else. And I'm going to use this with my emotional maturity. I'm going to use this to help others. Okay, so for the Two of Wands, for this Gemini new moon, what else does our audience need to know? Four of Swords, time for non-action. I like this. I love this because this is telling me that with all the ideas that are presented towards you, with the pull of the North Node wanting to pull you towards your destiny, it's time to weigh out all of your options. Yes, write down all of those new ideas. Write down your opportunities. But Four of Swords is about, I can't believe we got 3 swords cards as the qualifiers. All 3 of them are swords. Swords is about mental energy too. It is. The sword suit represents mental energy. And that's Gemini's mental energy. But here, the Four of Swords, there's our Saturn. There is our Saturn. Saturn is right there. Rest, relax, meditate. The opportunity is not going to go away just because you take a beat and think things through. Okay? Libra is also another symbol on this card. Libra represents balance. And what did I say earlier in the reading? Balance. We need to balance those energies. Gemini being a very frenetic energy, here and there, hither and thither, going in 10 directions at one time. And your final message is generate the new ideas, have the new love, have the new job opportunity, but take your time, Saturn square. Take your time to think things through, meditate on it, rest on it. Think about the global and bigger picture. The opportunity is not going to go away just because you don't jump on it immediately. You do need to make a choice to chart your path, Two of Wands, to chart your course toward the North Node destiny, but you don't need to run toward it. You really don't need to run toward it. Make a decision slowly, with full consciousness of the consequences, with full consciousness of your destiny and where you are intended to go, and with full consciousness that this is not wounding speaking, that it's a new idea. It's a new love. It's a new phase. This is not about repeating old patterns. So I love, love, love this reading. I love the new moon in Gemini. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I liked the other new moon. If you haven't viewed that one, you can view the other new moon that I spoke about, which I was like, this is the luckiest thing ever. But I find that this one is very, very good too. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who could use a little bit of insight on the new moon in Gemini. And thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 11 published books. You can book a reading with me, and I will see you in the next video.